I feel like I just started off my video yesterday by saying I don't know how the news is getting topped every single day. I wake up and I'm thinking there's no way that today could be as crazy, if not crazier, than yesterday. And here I am yet again making another video saying the exact same thing because today is indeed crazier than yesterday. We're taking a look at a bunch of protests that are breaking out across the world. Hamas leaders, terrorist leaders are being assassinated. They're dead. They're gone. And then you have terrorist activities that are actually taking place here in Canada, or they were about to. And what does NATO have to say about this? How is this going to look for geopolitics moving forward? That's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage everyone to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. And without further ado, let's just get right into it. So a lot of controversy is starting up here around this clip. This is a protest that broke out in the UK in Southport following the deadly stabbing of several innocent children. So let's take a look at just what is going on in the tensions in case you've missed it. Like full-blown protest. Police are standing there with riot gear. Where have we seen that before? That's happened in Canada. It's happening in Venezuela. It's happening all around the world. But what's so interesting about this one? Well, the reason why this protest is getting out of control is because these three girls right here, they were all killed. They were stabbed to death by what's alleged to be a off-the-boat immigrant, someone who isn't part of the UK, someone who potentially had a bit of a criminal background. And the people are pissed off because it seems like crime is being more and more consistent with immigrants, people that don't respect the local laws. And UK has a massive immigration issue right now. You see that with all the protests there. I mean, it's not even recognizable. UK doesn't look like the UK. France doesn't look like France. Most of Europe doesn't look like Europe. And there's a lot of reasons to believe Europe is being invaded by immigrants. And oh yeah, Canada too, but we're not going to touch too much on Canada today. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Are those protests warranted? Are they not? If that happened here in Canada, yeah, likely that those protests would be also happening. So now we're taking a look at Hamas, right? On October 7th, Ismail watched the footage live of Hamas's attack on Israel. You can see right here, you've got a bunch of leaders that are standing in a boardroom and they're watching the horror attacks of Hamas on Israel on television. They smiled and then they prayed with other Hamas officials. And so why is this important? Well, that guy, along with a lot of those leaders, are actually dead. So you have breaking. Hamas leader was killed in Israeli attack in Tehran, according to Hamas official statement. Okay, so what else is going on? Well, let's take a look here. The Israel claims that it killed senior Hezbollah commander in strike in Beirut. And you can see the aftermath of the strike here. Looks like quite a bit of damage was done. So what else has come from this? Well, there was an unconfirmed report that another head figure in all of this terrorist activity here, Brigadier General Amir Ali, the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, was assassinated. And so that has been actually confirmed. So another bad guy is dead. What does this mean? Well, CTV actually just came out with a video about this, explaining what this means for the world and for this ongoing conflict.
Right. And now Hamas's armed wing is saying this killing will have major repercussions. Is a wider regional war on the way?
Well, and nobody wants that. Let's say that to the start. Lloyd Austin, the U.S. Defense Secretary, Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, have all been saying, please don't escalate to Israel. But also, they've been sending backdoor messages to Hezbollah and trying to get into Iran. Also, of course, the U.S. doesn't have diplomatic relations with Iran directly, but they have ways to get messages to the leadership saying, let's not escalate this. Let's keep this limited. But, the problem is that now we've reached this point where Israel is attacking top leaders of Hezbollah and top leaders of Hamas. and even attempting some of the top leaders of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps a few months ago. And so it's Iran is vowing revenge because they said that the supreme leader of Iran said there has to be a harsh response. But what can they really do is the question. And are these allied militant groups able to be controlled by the Iranians, first of all? And does Iran want to take the risk of getting into a regional war that would inevitably drag the United States into it on the side of Israel? And so the U.S. essentially is in the position of preventing this war just by the power of the U.S. military. But that doesn't mean that it couldn't start, because these militant armed groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis and Hamas and Islamic Jihad and some others aren't really able to be fully controlled by nation states and leaders of countries, because they're not beholden to the political systems of those countries or to the militaries.
And that's kind of what we're seeing right now. We're seeing escalated tensions and all of these understandings that no one is going to act without the U.S. saying, okay, you can do that. That's kind of come and gone out the window, because, well, the leaders are dead and now it's a state of total chaos. And so there's already been some bomb warnings and bombs that have flown into Israel, such as here. First rocket alert of the day in northern Israel near the border of Lebanon. That was late last night. And then you have another one this morning. In addition to that, you have the movement of the Israeli Olympic athletes and delegation have been limited by authorities in Paris due to the fears of attacks which may attempt to target them, with security being increased around the Olympic Village and event sites. And this is ongoing with the Olympics because you have people that just aren't respecting Israeli athletes. They're refusing to shake their hands. You're seeing a lot of pro-Palestine protests that have broken out, and they're clashing with pro-Israel protests at the Olympics, and it just seems like a total state of chaos. And so what is going to happen? Well, nothing calm, that's for sure. Earlier this morning, breaking news, in fact, you have a father and son were in advanced stages of planning Toronto terror attacks linked to ISIS, says the RCMP, which is something that, albeit Canadians have been warned about. I'm going to read the article in a moment here, but you've had Hamas leaders and Iran or whatever you want to call it, whatever, the bad guys, right? The bad guys have made videos saying, we will not forget what's happened and we are going to attack. And you've had attempted terrorism attacks happen in America. You're seeing it happen all over Canada now, right? With Toronto, you're seeing a rise of crime. The people are hunting Jews in the streets all across the world, and it's ongoing, right? And it's not me saying that Israel is 100% in the right. I'm not here to defend any of the country's actions and what's going on. This war is so complex, it's so deep rooted that it's not really my place to talk about who's doing what that's wrong. There's obvious things that are wrong on the surface level, but again, this is such a deep-rooted war that I'm not here to shill anybody, right? Okay, documents obtained by the Star show Mustafa LED 62 and Mustafa LDD 26, father and son, were charged on Monday with allegedly participating in terrorism activities in July in Toronto and the York region. A Toronto area father and son faced multiple terrorism-related charges, including conspiracy to commit murder for allegedly working with the Islamic State to plan violence in the GTA. Toronto would have been a target, Superintendent James Parr of the RCMP told a news conference in Newmarket on Wednesday. And so you're seeing this rise of crime, surface level crime, like petty crime, like harassment in the streets or car theft. That, yeah, of course, that's something that needs to be addressed. Obviously, right? That's not to turn a blind eye to. But when we're talking about elevated crime with, ongoing tensions like that are around the world where people are willing to commit terrorism in the act of patriotism, then that's a whole different level. And that is on the rise, which obviously is not good. And Canada is unfortunately a target, given that we are been trying to appeal to both sides, and it's not working. And so you got a bunch of Israeli people here in Canada, a bunch of Palestinian people in Canada, and there's been an ongoing conflict here in Canada, and tensions are rising organically, which isn't good. And it doesn't help that Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of this country, is again silent on the issue. So when we look at his official X account, you'll see that he's got something pinned from May 13th about taxes, because that's the priority here when we're talking about terrorism. And then you have an hour ago at the time of this recording, if you pay your rent every time, it should go towards your credit score. Okay, Justin, there's way more important things to be talking about than that. And then an hour ago as well, he shared that in French. And then you're going back to yesterday where he's sharing, Team Canada's rugby sevens, how they won silver, which I guess is impressive because Canada's not really known for their rugby, but nonetheless, nothing about what's happened with the Hamas leaders that have been assassinated, that have died in these bombings, and then also with this news of the terrorism attempted attacks in Canada. So Justin Trudeau is failing to acknowledge some very, very important things here in Canada. It's almost like the media doesn't want you to know about this. It's almost like this should be just swept under the rug. And for those who don't know, soon after the Donald Trump attempted assassination, you had an article like this that came out. I believe I shared this on my extra channel, but I didn't. I don't know if I talked about it here on the main channel. 2 Alberta men were charged with uttering threats against Trudeau online. This is a real thing, and they're saying that there was talks of them trying to kill, or not trying to kill, but them talking about online about killing Trudeau, Deputy Minister Freeland, and NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, and they're being charged with pretty much attempted or discussing an assassination attempt because of what they have said. Again, that's not very much covered. No politicians, from my understanding, have acknowledged that. Why? What's going on? It feels like this attempted assassination on Donald Trump, there should be a heightened level of security around the world, right? That's what happened after 9/11. I mean, that was a very different story than an attempted assassination on one man. You had thousands of people that died, buildings that collapsed, and it really put a dent in everyone. Still to this day, it haunts many, many people. Whether it was an inside attack or not, that's not really what we're talking about. Just the fact that it did happen. So why is it that there isn't a heightened level of security? It just seems like it's online rhetoric. Trump has to have more security now. Justin Trudeau has to have more security now. Yet Justin Trudeau was very easily approached on a beach in Tofino not too long ago by an independent journalist who was had the capabilities to find out that he was going to be there, planned to be there, and was able to approach Justin Trudeau on a beach with like 2 security guards. So why is it that it feels, by all of the news, real things, factual things that are happening, that there's this very much desperate need for heightened security, right? We should tighten up our immigration. We should start triple fact checking people to make sure that we're not bringing bad people here in Canada, or at least minimize the amount of bad people we're bringing here in Canada. We should be increasing our airport security for tourism. We should be, does Justin Trudeau even have more security? Do politicians? What about Pierre Poilievre? Does he even have more security? The answers to all of that is no. It's almost like the attempted assassination on Donald Trump had no effect on anything, and it just doesn't make any sense. RCMP just this morning released information dated back 2 days ago that there is potentially, or there could have been, a terrorism attack on Toronto, a bombing, a pipe bomb. Who knows what that would have looked like, right? We don't know, and chances are we're not going to know, but nonetheless, that's one of the pieces of information that we are aware of, that something could have happened and it could have been very bad. And then you bring the level of severity down a bit, and the street level crime has skyrocketed. So why is it that here in Canada you don't really see anything? It's all just talk, and it feels so emotionally draining to be this focused on this much crime and this much craziness that's happening, yet nothing is changing. Well, that's how you lead to really bad things happening. When you see that there is a problem and the problem is getting worse and worse, tensions are skyrocketing, there isn't that much discussion from our government to put an end to all of these protests. It's almost like they want these protests to happen. They want this tension to build. I mean, for crying out loud, it's even going on at the Olympics. Look at this video. You have pro-Palestine and pro-Israeli activists clash at the Paris Olympics. Why wasn't this a headline? This is huge. This is leading to escalated tensions even at the Olympics, which is leading to anti-Semitism or whatever you want to call it towards athletes, and there's actual crime. Break and enters into the Olympic Village and athletes are getting their shit stolen. It's insane what's going on around the world, and yet there is nothing, no actions that are being taken to address this. It's just a news cycle. So I don't know if I'm the only one who feels this way, but it certainly feels like I'm the only one who feels this way, that there is so much ongoing global tensions that are real. Bombings are happening. Leaders, figureheads are dying, terrorist figureheads, whatever, good people, bad people are dying all over the place. You have terrorism is on the rise. Terrorist threats are on the rise. They've made official statements. Hamas and other terrorist entities have made official statements saying, we are going to do these very bad things. We're coming for you. And it feels like the government sees it and goes, yeah, that's just a video. It doesn't matter. And then things happen, such as what you just saw with the events in Toronto, or the potential of events in Toronto, and the RCMP saying, we got them, not to worry, guys, we got them. That's one out of how many. It just feels like the government isn't taking things seriously, and it's like they want everyone protesting against each other. Who does that benefit? I don't know. And that's part of what is deemed as a bigger conspiracy, this whole new world agenda where they want everyone pivoted against everybody. And that's a topic for a different day. But nonetheless, NATO is very angry with what's going on. Israel is very angry with what's going on. And they're calling for Turkey, part of NATO, to be expelled. So right here, Israel urges NATO to expel Turkey over threats to invade, which I don't think has happened. I don't believe that Turkey would benefit by invading Israel. In fact, Turkey closed their borders to any Palestinians that were leaving Gaza because of all the bombs that were being dropped by Israel. They said, nope, we're not getting involved. We're not doing that. And economically speaking, Turkey needs Israel and Israel needs Turkey. Yet here we are with Israel urging NATO to kick Turkey out because they don't like them. That's its own issue. And then what's going on with Ukraine? Well, we're stuck in this limbo where Russia and Ukraine is on the back burner, right? We've been sending them millions, billions of dollars and all these resources. So Zelensky arrives in the UK, and we're going to find out more about what he's going to say soon. And with all the heightened tensions, chances are that all of the goodies that we've sent Ukraine, such as the first NATO F-16 fighter jets, got delivered to Ukraine, we're going to end up saying, or the U.S. is going to end up saying, hey, you remember all those things that we said we're going to send you, that you've now arrived, we've got confirmation, and the whole world has confirmation? Yeah, we need you to use that to get those guys that are close to you, not Russia, but, Iran and Hamas. Yeah, you're going to have to just redirect your flight. So we're probably going to be now saying to Ukraine, all those goodies, yeah, we need you to fight the good fight, because Russia is picking up their next level of warfare, which is nuclear. That's right. You can't make this up. Russia is training their troops on nuclear warfare. The Russian military begins third round of drills to train troops in tactical nuclear weapons. This is not good, folks. It seems like we are very much on the brink of World War III, and it feels like there's a lot of greed. If I'm going to end this video off on an opinion, it feels like there's a lot of greed by whoever's profiting off of this, and it's not going to end well. There is too easily... The citizens now are able to take photos and videos of what's happening in real time. And that is too easily distributed for the entire world to see. And so the way that these warmongers are going about things is based off of things that were only applicable 30 plus years ago, where the governments and these independent or government subsidized media outlets were the only ones that had access to publication. Back in the day when the only way you could get your news was from a newspaper or the television, you were at the mercy of that. And that was all. But now you have everyone is available to get information off their phone on X or whatever it is, right? YouTube, TikTok, you pick your poison, it's there, and it's done by people on the ground, regular people that aren't necessarily compromised by the government or paid for, just people either that are looking to start a business or people that are just curious and they just share things. There's so many different variables. We're just going to leave it at that. And so all of this rhetoric that the media is trying to put on its citizens, these built up tensions with these headlines, with this news of we're getting ready for war, this is happening. That used to work 30 years ago where people would see it and then they would move on with their life. But now you have the ability for the everyday person to share information that's above and beyond just the surface level of a newspaper or of a television program. And that is where the governments haven't adapted to this. And that's why you're seeing a rise in terrorism. Because if it were just the headlines, people would be angry and then they might move on, or there'd be a small amount of people that would take it a step further to where they're going now. But because it's in our faces every day and there's just so much tensions and it's so emotionally exhausting, people are radically changing. And that's why it's called the radical woke left, because you have people that may have been a bit progressive that are being stirred up with all of this stuff of CNN and CBC and all of this propaganda of you need to act now, you need to do something now because X, Y, and Z is going to happen. And then you have radical people jumping to conclusions with terrorists or even communism, which is somehow being promoted out in the wide open for people to see. You have people in Canada that are running communist parties and they're getting thousands of people to join them. It just doesn't make any sense. And I feel like the government needs to do a better job at facilitating all of this tension and saying, look, we're handling it. You can trust us. We've gained your trust. And that's just not the case because our government is so incompetent. For crying out loud, Justin Trudeau hasn't even acknowledged the terrorist attacks that could have taken place in Toronto and the Hamas leader dead, gone, and a bunch of other second, third, fourth in command leaders dead and gone. That happened 12 hours ago. Nothing from the Prime Minister of Canada. So I don't understand the level of incompetence, but that does make sense when you look at how we've gone from just regular wars to craziness that's happening everywhere now. That's above and beyond wars, people trying to take it into their own hands. And where's that missing link? Incompetence, warmongering, and greed. And that's my opinion, and I'm going to leave it there. And as we end the video, I would absolutely love to know yours. If you haven't yet already, posted it down in the comments. On your way out, I would like to encourage you guys to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you in the next one. Bye for now.